We're small but mighty tonight. That's okay. We're also being live streamed for those parents and families at home watching. And first, I just want to thank you all for coming tonight. There will certainly be time after our presentation for any questions. Stick around if you want to ask questions privately. That's really fine. Mr. Heinzel and I will be here. But again, I just want to thank you for being here. We have not had a fifth grade parent night since 2019. Oh my gosh, it feels like 20,000 years ago. I've been here for 20,000 years, I believe. But again, thank you so much. Mrs. Would like to you? Yeah. Next slide. Yeah. I have a great assistant. Thank you. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Vestey. This picture is very old. This is from my first years in admin. I leave it here to remind myself that I was once young and didn't have so much gray hair. But this is me from like 2013. This is actually my 16th year in the district. I started out as a Spanish and French teacher in the district. I moved into administration in 2013, and this is my second year that I am the proud principal of River Trails Middle School. A little bit about myself. I live in Mount Prospect, which is on the other side of town, unluckily for me, right? And I have one 10-year-old son who is in 4th grade and in 5th grade next year. And my life is just basically surrounded by him and my husband and working at trails, so that's me.
Hello, and I'm Kyle Winkle, the assistant principal. My picture is not old. I've just aged so much during the pandemic. This is my second year here in the district. I was an administrator in West Aurora for a few years before I came here. Actually, I'm gearing up for one of these welcome to middle school nights myself, because I have an 11-year-old son who's in 5th grade, gearing up for middle school. I live way out at Huntley though, so not near here. Super excited to experience my first welcome to middle school night for 5th grade parents during my time here.
I also just wanted to make sure we recognize Mrs. Ward and Mrs. Esparza Meadows. They are, again, I put on here superheroes. These are the nicest ladies you're ever going to meet. When you come to the office, when you call the office, any questions, these ladies will be answering the phone with smiles. You can hear it in their voice. Mrs. Borg is actually retiring after this year, so I will be crying for the whole summer. But Mrs. Esparza, she will be here next year, thankfully. And for any of our Spanish, oh my gosh, I'm tongue-tied today. Para nuestros padres que hablan español, ella habla español también y puede llamarme a la oficina cada día. And also.
Nazywam się Joanna Małecki i pracuję w bibliotece jako asystentka, ale również po polsku, jeżeli chcieliby Państwo potrzebowali taką możliwość, żeby przetłumaczyć coś z angielskiego na polski, czy odwrotnie, to jestem tutaj, żeby pomóc.
Okay. So you have a pretty hefty packet in front of you. We're not going to read through it word for word, but just kind of an outline of what we're going to talk about today. Go to the next slide. Or Molesky's our 8th grade, one of our 8th grade teachers. But just kind of, we want to give you an idea of what a 6th grade day looks like and what to expect next year in 6th grade. Because you guys have been at probably Euclid or Indian Grove for the past 5 years. It's been kind of the same thing. And this is a transition for you all and for your students, but for you guys too. I really recognize it's going to change. One big difference, and when we go to the elementary schools next year, we're going to do a big, when I tell them, okay, next year everyone, first period, first block begins at 7:40 a.m. I know that's one of the biggest changes for our elementary school students coming into middle school is the day does start quite a bit earlier. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Okay? So the one difference, just like the elementary school, on Thursdays we have our late arrival day. On that day, our first block begins at 8:30. We recommend that students, if they're not taking the bus, that they get dropped off at least 10 minutes before that first bell. You guys have probably noticed in your own parking lots at elementary schools, those parking lots get really busy. So we really want to try to aim for being in the drop-off area at least 10 minutes ahead of time, 10 minutes before that first bell rings. Students are able to wait outside, under the awning or to the left. The first bell rings on a normal day at 7:33. That gives them 7 minutes to go to their locker, get their things, and go right to their first block class. Because class begins promptly at 7:40 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and probably at 8:30 on Thursdays. No matter what day it is, unless we have an early release day. But besides those 2 days of the school year, our school day ends at 2:58 each day. A couple things. Middle schoolers are pretty famous for not wanting to wear coats. I don't know if you guys have this in elementary school. I think most of our boys are wearing shorts in the dead of winter. But they will be waiting outside unless it is less than or feels like less than 16 degrees. So please encourage your child to dress appropriately for the weather. But when there is bad weather, if it's too cold, if it's snowing, raining, we do have them come inside and wait in the hallways. Okay? Another fun fact, our office opens at 7 a.m. And students are able to come into the building as early as 7 a.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Our learning center is open, so our library, if any students want to go in and learn their homework, read quietly, if they have to make up a test, the teacher might leave them there with Mrs. Malecki, who will be there. And we also serve breakfast starting at 7 a.m. here in the cafeteria. On Thursdays, our library is closed in the morning because we have that late start professional development, but they are able to enter the building as early as 8 o'clock on a Thursday for breakfast. Anything to add, Mr. Hill? Okay, next slide, please.
Do you think they can hear me on that without this?
Oh, well, yeah.
Okay,
that'll-
your voice is louder.
Okay, I'll go without it. Just shout at me if you can't hear me. So for those students that are going to ride a bus, all right, we do have drop-off here in the morning. Half the buses will drop off in the front of the building, and the other half will drop off in the back. It all depends on your student's bus number. So for example, I think this year, 6 through 10 are in the front, and 1 through 5 are in the back. And it stays that way the entire year, so your student's not left guessing, and neither are you. Same thing when students leave the building at the end of the day as well. They'll go to the same area that they were dropped off of to get on their bus. Buses are all marked, and that goes very, very smoothly. Grand Prairie, for information on transportation, you guys will receive that information directly from them. They are the company that we service out our buses through, so they'll send out the time your child should be at the bus stop, what bus stop, plus all that good information. If for whatever reason you feel like it's getting really close to the deadline where you need to know and haven't received anything, feel free to call and we can connect you with them or check and at least let you know, yeah, they haven't sent anything out yet, so you weren't left out, okay? We do run an activity bus every day, and it usually picks up students, depending on the bus, we run a few of them, about 4:10 to 4:15. Your child must stay for an after-school activity to ride that bus, whether it's a sport, a club, an activity to stay and work with a teacher even. They can't just stay here and hang out or anything like that and then get on the bus. Right? That way you guys know where your kids are, and we do too, okay? During dismissals and things like that, obviously with the front, there's not a lot of space. So we have one lane closest to the school in arrival for the buses. please don't pull your vehicle in there because you'll get stuck and the buses will be honking and it'll be a nightmare for everybody, okay? And at both dismissal and arrival, we do have teachers' assistants who are out there with the same goal that you guys have. It's to safely get your child and then get out of there as quick as possible. So I know it's kind of a mess and some days are worse than others, especially when we get into those bad weather months. But try and follow the process and it will go as quickly as possible, as quickly as we can help it go, okay?
I was just going to point out too, for those students who are dropped off in the back of the bus, they do come right into the cafeteria, so they're not waiting in the back parking lot. So only the students who are dropped off in the front, either by a parent or if they're riding their bike, or if they take the bus and they're dropped off in the front, they wait in the front. Everyone else, if they're dropped off in the back by a bus, they come in here, as well as the students who are eating breakfast come in here. Again, I mentioned those really busy parking lots. I know on Euclid or you're on Burning Bush, if you're going after school to your child, you can keep seeing those big lines. We have them on Wolf Road as well. It is very much encouraged if you're able to. We do have an agreement with the church next door that you can drop your child off in the parking lot there or pick them up over there. They just have to have a short little walk across the field or down the sidewalk. They can certainly do that. That'll help you with a lot of headache just getting in and out of the parking lot. Some parents also will drop off a child like on Greenwood, that neighboring street, or the street back there. We do have, again, we have teachers' assistants who are in the parking lots, making sure kids are getting safely to those sidewalks and things like that. I would say it'll be in your best interest to maybe have a plan B if you're like, oh man, that parking lot is crazy, and I don't want to be stopped on Wolf Road because that's kind of dangerous when people drive. So just wanted to bring that up. All right, next slide. Okay, something new next year. You may have heard about this. Some of you may have, I know, have older students have gone through here. Right now, for the past, I don't know, as long as I've been here, we've had a 10-period day. And this is something that we have been trying to figure out a way. How can we get more time for math? How can we have more time for science in the day so that we don't have to get started with a science experiment and then have to stop and clean up and just all those kinds of things. We've been looking at a lot of issues since, just going through the pandemic and after trying to start looking at schedules. What can you do to help make the student's day a lot more flexible, a lot less, hopefully less stressful, needing less homework, things like that, so not totally crazy after school, working until the late hours. So one thing that we're going to do next year, which will be a big change, is we're going to have a 5-block day. So what that means is that every single day for 6th grade, and 7th and 8th grade as well, every single day they'll have ELA, which is English Language Arts. Every day they'll have math. Science and social studies will rotate days. So we'll have A days and B days. We'll show you an example of the schedule a little bit. And then there's also going to be 2 periods of the day that are on for rotation. So whether that is art, music, PE, health, if the students are in band, orchestra, chorus, those days will rotate. Okay. We also, which is, again, they've changed middle school, right? At the elementary schools, your students were maybe dealing with 1 teacher, 2 teachers, right? They will most likely have a different teacher for ELA, a different teacher for math, a different teacher for science, and then those encore teachers. So sometimes it's a big change, and it feels like it's a lot to, kind of keep track of. So we definitely encourage all of our students to use their assignment notebook every day. That's something that they'll get on the first day of school. We want to make sure they're using all the things we have laid out for them, so they can stay organized, keep track of things, and just get ready for what's next. So whether that's 7th grade, 8th grade, high school, we want to make sure that we're setting up those, set that foundation for them so they're successful. Another thing that the teachers use is Schoology. I think in 5th grade, I'm raising your hand. Do you use Schoology in 5th grade? Thank you. Okay, so it's not totally new. Thank you for that thumbs up over there. Our teachers do Schoology. That's our online platform. That's where most of our teachers will post assignments, will post resources. If you're looking for something, that's probably where you're going to find it. So for students, that's going to be your best place to look. If maybe you're absent one day, check out Schoology. Parents, you will be able to use PowerSchool to check grades. I think that's something maybe, again, a little bit different. I mean, grades are updated very regularly, at least once a week. So it's something for you to kind of keep an eye on and talk to your child about. Are you missing an assignment? Have you turned it in? Have you talked to the teacher? Just another way for us to kind of keep track of everything. And you will, in August, you'll get an email with your login information. So you will be able to get to both of these things with PowerSchool and Schoology. Yes.
All right, physical education. So every student is required to take PE and will dress for PE. They will issue uniforms and they'll have their own PE locker that they'll keep that uniform in, and maybe some deodorant and things like that, a pair of gym shoes. that they'll change in and out of for PE class. Students will have about once a week one fitness test just to test their growth, not comparing against other students or anything like that. It's strictly to see their physical education growth throughout the year. So that is one focus in PE, but the larger focus is going to be kind of working along those team aspects and learning about teamwork through different sports. So they'll get introduced to a lot of different activities, some they'll already be familiar with, and some that will be brand new that they've never heard of, which students really like that variety. If it is too cold outside, they obviously will have gym class inside our gymnasium. Otherwise, our PE teachers do a lot of, anytime they can, take our students out, get them fresh air, and there's a lot more opportunity for movement out there. So that's kind of why we also recommend that pair of gym shoes and stuff like that, indoor, outdoor, and things like that. Uniforms can be purchased the first week of school. They'll bring home an envelope with the size and details and all of that in there. And they do not have to take showers for PE. I know that's one question.
They do not take showers.
Yeah. I don't even think the showers are going to work in there.
I'm not going to try.
I think it's actually storage right now, so they don't have to worry about that. Next slide.
Okay, encore classes. Okay, for my fifth graders, you guys know what an encore is? You guys call it specials in elementary school? Okay, you know, okay. Yeah, so encores for our core classes, like math, science, social studies, ELA, are encore. These are those specials that you were used to having, but there's a lot more options in the middle school. We are going to be on 12-week rotations. We're going to be on a trimester next year. So that means every 12 weeks, if you have an encore class, like a mashup, art, health, coding, foods, textiles, general music, or introduction to world languages, every 12 weeks that class will change. Okay? Well, I'll show you an example schedule in a second. It probably sounds a little confusing. I promise you, once you really see it, it's okay, and you're gonna fully understand it. But I just want to just remind you guys, we have encores in middle school. They are randomly put into the schedule. If you're really like, oh man, I really want to have this class, there is a form that the students can fill out in the main office, and if there's room, we can make a change. But otherwise, most people get a little bit of everything in middle school. We want you to try out new things and see what do you like. So again, you go to that next level, you have an idea, this is what I really want to focus my time on, and you can just reach out and let us know what your interests are. If you are signed up for band, orchestra, and chorus, that takes the place of one of your encores, and that's for the entire year. So we also call that block, band, orchestra, chorus. Another thing to know, if you're in band or orchestra, students who are in band or orchestra, they do get pulled out of a class. Whenever we can, it's out of the study hall class, but they are pulled out of a class once a week for a smaller, we call it a sectional, a smaller instructional time with that band or orchestra teacher.
Sample schedule.
Yeah.
So here's that sample schedule Mrs. Kromeski was talking about. And as you can see, I know we have a 5-block day, but there's more than 5 classes. That's because, as she said earlier, some of those classes rotate every other day. So to kind of show you what the difference is, this is first period and it says AB. That means math will meet on both A days and B days, so every day of the week, okay? And it'll be that student's first period class every day of the week. Now second period, as you can see, there's 2 of them. On an A day, a student will then leave math and go to science. The following day, which would be a B day, they would leave math and go to social studies. Okay? So that is a class that will meet just every other day for that 75 minutes. Then these last 2 classes, they're the only ones that don't have for the term the whole year. That's because those were those encores that Mrs. Kromeski was just talking about. So those will actually, these 2 classes will change every trimester. So trimester 2, our students will get issued new schedules through email sent home, and it'll say T2, and these will be 2 different classes. And then again in T3. And then if your student is interested or does band, orchestra, and chorus, for example, let's just say it falls on an A day, this one would just say band for the whole year, and this final one on the B day will be the only one that changes. A lot of crazy information right now, but it is much simpler than it kind of comes out as a lot of times. And the kids pick up on it incredibly quick.
I think, navigating the schedule or navigating the hallways, that's the number one thing that I think incoming 6th graders are like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But there's so many adults here to help you out. There are people here to point you in the right direction. We'll have signs literally as you're walking up and saying, it's an A day, it's a B day, okay? And that'll be probably the first thing Mrs. Borg says, or not Mrs. Borg. Maybe Mrs. Espresso, you know, when she does the pledge of allegiance, she'll do a reminder, for guys, today is an A day, or today is a B day. So we'll make sure that everyone is exactly where they need to be. And our teachers are very patient. If you're not in the right spot that first day, or the second day, or the third day, we'll just get you there. Right? No worries. We're all learning this. This is a brand new thing for everybody. Okay. In sixth grade, there are advanced accelerated classes. We have advanced English language arts, and we do have accelerated math. This is something that will be determined by the fifth grade, sixth grade teams as we're looking at end of the year scores such as math testing, COGAT testing, teacher recommendations, classroom grades. We look at a whole variety of data points to decide if this is going to be the right fit for our students. So we have a continuum of service just like we do for our special education students and our students who need intervention. We also have that continuum for students who need a little more acceleration or a little more challenge. In, I believe, mid to late June is when we would be sending out emails to families to let them know if your child did place in an accelerated or advanced class. End of July, if you do not receive one, or if you reach out to us and let me confirm, no, I'm sorry, your child is not in that class, there is an appeal process if you feel that your child should be in that class. So just keep an eye on summer newsletters, summer emails. We'll be sending all those reminders out to you all. Grading, let's see here, at fifth grade, do we use grades yet, or are we still using the 1, 2, 3s? Yeah, it's a little bit different in middle school. We do have the grades of A, B, C, D, or F. Hopefully we'll not have any Fs or Ds in middle school. We will be sending out report cards each academic trimester based on, but via your email. You can certainly always request a paper copy of that. We have no problem sending home a paper copy. But again, as a reminder, parents are able to access student grades like in real time, looking at Power School. So if you have any questions, that's probably the best place to look, and then talk to your child, like, why is your grade like this? Why are you missing an assignment? Can you redo a test? Because your students will probably have the most information on that right there and right now.
For assessments, you've heard Mrs. Krolmeski mention a couple of them, and I don't believe for our incoming sixth graders they're actually really any different. You take one less actually than you do in fifth grade. So 3 times a year, our students will take one in the fall, one in the winter, and one in the spring. Our MAP test, that's our district assessment that we use. And then around the March, April area, they'll also take IAR, which is the Illinois Assessment of Readiness, and that's a state test that everybody in the state of Illinois is required to take. So those are the 2 big ones that incoming sixth graders will be taking, and those the whole school has to take, so it won't be just a sixth grade thing. They're school-wide testing days. I'm sure they were very similar to how it was in elementary school. Most of the textbooks, well, some of them will be able to bring them home, but a lot of them are online as well, so students have access to them through their Chromebooks that they'll be getting 24/7. Regular and strategic ELA teachers will use the collections textbook, and our advanced classes will use collections and other novel-based textbooks to supplement some things from our other classes. Our math teachers will use Eureka Math, which you can see we've got both of those. Our Eureka Math on the left and our collections book on the right there.
Yeah, so for science, we are following the next generation of science standards. We are using a fairly new curriculum called Open Science. If you're interested, you can always check that out online. Very hands-on, inquiry-based. It's pretty awesome. I think your sixth graders, your incoming sixth graders, you guys are going to love science. We have the most beautiful science labs I've seen around here for middle school. But you will, I know you're really going to enjoy those science experiments here too. Some I would say, even despite the lack of so many textbooks, bookings still weigh about 35 pounds. You guys know that too? I don't understand why. Okay, so we're going to try to make sure our students just take all what you need so you're not having back problems. Chromebooks. We do have Chromebooks though, so maybe that's why the backpacks are so heavy, because some of them will stuff it into their backpack. Just like in elementary school, each student will have a Chromebook. As part of registration, there is a $25 insurance fee. If a student forgets their Chromebook at home, we do have loaners in the library, so Mrs. Lecky would be happy to check out a Chromebook to you if you forgot it one day. We do ask you to return it by the end of the day, however. Any lost Chromebook Chromebooks, we haven't had any of those, any lost chargers, any Chromebooks that are damaged. There is a fee for those, just to pay for those damage or to replace parts. So please just encourage your child to be very responsible with their Chromebook. That's their device to use, whether it's here in the building and at home. But we want to make sure that they are being super responsible, they're taking care of it. We use this for so much during the day, we have to make sure it's working, so they should charge overnight. If you charge overnight, it will last all day long. I pretty much promise you that. I would say too, and for students, you guys can tell all your friends, we do keep a close eye on what the students are doing on their Chromebooks. Many teachers during the class will use Sahara, which allows them if they're working independently to kind of see what's going on, making sure we're not playing games. We are also notified if a student is searching anything inappropriate, or if they send an email to a student that has something inappropriate, or something that would cause alarm, like from a social emotional standpoint. So just, I mean, we do our very best to monitor all of that to the degree possible. When they're at home, though, that is something we really need parents to really keep an eye on, because we can't control how much YouTube or gaming they're doing at home on their phone. So please just be aware of that. At times, the student's Chromebook has been taken away from them due to, disciplinary issues. If we've had to tell them too many times, don't play games, or they're doing something inappropriate. If that would happen, the child would have to, use pen and paper, like in the old days. So just be aware, we monitor as much as we possibly can, and sometimes there are consequences if we're not using it responsibly. So school improvement, again, this is something you're probably used to seeing in elementary schools. Our main focus for school improvement are our academic areas. We're looking for growth in the areas, specifically, math and ELA. We look at math data, we look at IR data. We are going to be implementing this year a intervention block for literacy for those students who need that. We're not going to have intervention blocks this year for math quite yet, because we are basically doubling our math time. So we want to see how that works with our students before adding additional intervention. We also are very much aware of the social emotional needs of our students, especially post-pandemic. We have implemented an advisory period, so kind of like, what do you have? You guys have morning meeting with the elementary schools? Kind of like, it's not right away in the morning, though. We have it right before or after lunch. But it's a time, again, just like 15-minute time just to be with other students in your class. We look at some social emotional activities. We also use Newsella, which is a platform in our ELA classes, which again is just tied to those social emotional learning standards. So we have amazing social workers in our building. We have an amazing school psychologist who's actually coming to us from Euclid next year. Mr. Henkel and I, we are available almost all day long unless we're in a meeting, and our secretaries, if your child comes in and has a question or a problem, there's always someone for them to come to. Maybe later in the program, later in the slideshow, we talk about keeping an eye out for emails for small group tours, like in end of July, early August. I will send out like a sign-up genius if you want to come in and walk the building with your student. The main reason we do that is I want to make sure that the students are as comfortable as possible, and also know where those grown-ups are, where are those safe people if they need to talk to somebody.
Lockers. So all students will have not one, but 2 lockers and locker combinations to remember. One will be for the hallway for all their academic things. It's a much larger locker, and the other will be a smaller one, like I previously mentioned, in the locker room for the gym uniform, shoes, and things like that. Deodorant. Highly recommend talking to your child about not sharing their locker combo 1, and then 2, actually using their lock. They think it's this giant time-saving thing to either pre-do their combination or fashion some way so it doesn't actually lock. Because I can promise you, Mrs. Promessi's been here longer than I have, but I can just speak since I've been here. 100% of the times, anything's gone missing from a locker room, which it's not been many times, it's because they left it out or their locker wasn't locked. Or they gave their locker combination to a friend. That was one time too. So otherwise, nothing comes up missing and kids are able to just keep track of things. But highly recommend that they use the locks and don't give out their combinations.
Lockers want to be locked up. Lock the lockers.
And then homework. Students will have roughly about an hour of homework a night. Obviously that will vary at different nights of the week and different times of the year. But it shouldn't be a deal where your student is up for 2+ hours every night, stressing, turning into fights at the kitchen table or anything like that. So it should be roughly around an hour is what to expect. Again, that may vary. But if a child does not come home with homework, have them read. They all will have opportunities through their classes or through like even a study hall to go to the library, check out a book. Our librarian does a phenomenal job at not only promoting different things, but she will talk to a kid for about 90 seconds and be able to learn a little bit about them and pick the perfect book for them. So that's another way if you feel like there's not enough coming home from school, something you can have them do.
Okay, so the LRC, that's our Learning Resource Center. That is the home of Mrs. Schoology up here at the computer, and also Ms. Milos, who's our school librarian. I already mentioned, I believe, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. The library is open at 7 a.m. if your student wants to come in early, which is absolutely welcome. It's also open after school, Monday through Thursday. So if a student wants to stay after school, Monday through Thursday, they are able to do so to, again, work on homework, read a book, just find a quiet place to be. Some teachers will leave a test for makeup in the library, those kinds of things. And then they are able to take that for-time activity bus home. So lunch, it's kind of like brunch, I guess, because lunch for sixth grade students, they start around 10:34. I think this year you guys are a little bit later, aren't you? Fifth grade lunches are late? Yeah. It's a little bit earlier next year. I apologize in advance for that. It's possible. In the past, we have allowed for healthy snacks later in the day. It just depends on what class you're in or who the teacher is. So there might be some options for that if you're just really, really hungry by, 1:30, 2 o'clock. We're in the cafeteria now. This is our lunchroom. Right behind us are 26. We're using that room right now. There are seats that are further spread apart, like 6 feet apart. I'm not sure if we will have to use that room next year as well, but we had used it this year, just like the elementary school had their seats kind of spaced out. Our tables are big row guys behind me. We usually see about 8 students per table. To start the year in 6th grade, because again, another big stressor for 6th graders is where do I sit for lunch? And how do I figure that out? And who do I talk to? And all those things that we're worried about in 6th grade. To start the year out, students are given a seat assignment. If you look above you on the ceiling, you'll see there's numbers. That's our seat numbers, or not our seat numbers, but our table numbers. So each child will be assigned a table, again, at least to start the year. At some point later on, maybe you should go back forward over to trimesters next year. Probably a couple months in, we will make it the option. Now you may pick your own seat. But we want to make sure we have 2 schools coming together, right? We have people coming to us and Indian Grove coming to us. We also have students coming from parochial schools. We have students who are transferring in from all over the state. We want to make sure that students know where they're sitting and they have a chance to talk to others and get to know other students. So one thing we're going to take off your plate, boys and girls, you don't have to pick out your seat for lunch. I'll also mention, sorry, going back to one picture. We should be back to normal school lunches next year. So there should be a little more variety. You are able to put money in students' accounts for their meals using mealtime, which again, I think you guys used in elementary school. It'll be the same online thing, otherwise students will be able to pay in cash as well.
Our passing periods. So we do have students that move throughout the day. One of the changes, and we feel is a benefit next year to moving to the block schedule, is instead of our students having to travel 9 different times in a day, they're only going to travel about 6 times due to with the lunch and advisory in there as well. So to get from class to the next class, they have 3 minutes. For the large majority of our 6th graders classes, it's down 1 hallway, so they do not have far to go. Plenty of time to visit a locker if need be. Most classes, they can usually go to their locker once for 2 classes, for example, depending on when those classes fall in the student's day. It gives our teachers, especially for our incoming 6th graders, are incredibly good about being visible in the hall during passing periods and very understanding that this is something very new for students. They all have, or at least the majority of them have locker keys, because that can kind of be a stressful thing, getting that combination right with somebody to your left and somebody to your right, feeling like the shot clock's ticking down on you. So there is a grace period there. But we do ask that students, when they are moving from point A to point B, do so with a purpose, but obviously we don't want anybody running for safety concerns. And after that grace period is kind of over, you can kind of tell there's no exact set time. We do start to give students, whether it's in lunchroom talks or study halls, talks like hey, starting next week or in a couple weeks, we need to, you start making sure you have a good feel for your locker and your combination, and if not, talk to so-and-so and they can help you practice, and we do things like that. Because unfortunately, with the one down side to students moving from class to class is that's a lot of students in an unstructured time in the same place. So students can get a little squirrely, all right, and if they do not meet expectations, there could be discipline things that lead from those. But for the most part, our sixth graders, and with the help of the sixth grade teachers, do an absolutely phenomenal job of making the most use of that 3 minutes, whether it's go to the bathroom, get supplies, and then even talk with friends for a minute, and then get to their class. Speaking of discipline, we ask that all students are respectful, responsible, and ready to learn. If our students meet those 3 pieces of criteria, they will fly through middle school with ease. We really want to make sure that one student or any student is not hindering or impeding any other student's ability to learn. Okay, and that goes for both in the classroom and in the hallways. Teachers will monitor behavior in their classroom, and they will provide reminders as necessary. If they do have to repeat reminders, those reminders could turn into what we call a minor. And then that teacher would enter the minor into Power School, where it will be tracked, and multiple minors could lead to a major. However, again, most of our sixth graders catch on pretty quick because our teachers are doing an excellent job at reinforcing, reminding, and setting those expectations early. However, if something egregious happens, it won't be a minor, it could be a major where there won't be those little reminders and conversations because it will be something more severe, and that's when discipline right away would happen. And a lot of those times when obviously multiple minors, or especially when a major, you guys will be involved in that as well and be notified immediately.
Safety concerns. Please encourage your child to let an adult know that. Any safe person will know that any adult, Mr. Heinkel, myself, our school secretaries, our social workers, a trusted teacher, if there's anything that they feel this isn't right, we want to make sure that everyone feels safe here. This is kind of home away from home, and we want to make sure that anything that is concerning them is something that we address in one way or another. If you all have any concerns about anything, whether it's topics such as bullying, cyber matters, security, you know, we're still in COVID. Anything safety related to COVID, you know, please reach out to Mr. Heinkel or I. We definitely want to work with students. We know that when you're talking about bullying, for example, I think conflict is a natural thing. I think a lot of times we really say this child is being bullied. We want to make sure we really work through that. We want to make sure we're helping that student, and we want to determine, is this really a bullying situation, or is this a disagreement? Was this a conflict? And if it is a true bullying situation, we want to work with that student as well to make sure that we're finding, you know, the root of any of that behavior and helping them. Our PTC, our Parent-Teacher Council, I hope all of you were involved in PTC at the elementary school level. If not, you are more than welcome to join us already. Next Wednesday, we have a 7 o'clock PTC meeting. It is held in our front office conference room. It's also going to be available via Google Meet, so I will make sure I send all of you the link. If you want to join, even virtually, that's fine. They will be determining their next president and vice president next week, so if you really want to be president, please come, you know. No? Okay, that's okay. We have lots of committees that need heads for that. Let's face it, middle school is different than elementary school. I feel like there's less opportunities to volunteer and be part of it and be in the school. So PTC is one way to kind of really, you know, get in there and kind of get to know, you know, more parents and get to know the teachers. We have things like school dances, and we have recreation nights, and hopefully we'll have a picture place next year, which has been, again, several years. But we definitely need volunteers to make that happen. Our Parent-Teacher Council, they do a lot of fundraising, which helps pay for things like, we have the Nice Little Roundtable coming for 6th grade this spring. They have paid for things like our 8th grade hero night. It's all of it, everything that they do comes back to our students. So if you can be involved, please do so. And if you want to be involved in parts of the year, that's fine, we'll take you.
Summer reading. All students are required to read one book from the summer reading list, which we found on the school website as well as sent home through email to families. So when they say they're bored this summer, there's their activity. Cell phones, headphones, earbuds, all those electronics are not permitted in the building. They can, if they have a phone or anything like that, the expectation is it to be often in their locker, so it's not a distraction or a disruption, because I've been guilty of it at times too, when it's within reach. I'll just check it real quick, and students are no different. And again, with cell phones, earbuds, and things like that being in their locker, another good reason that they should lock their locker, because those are valuables that I'm sure you guys do not want to hear are missing. Anything more on phones that I'm forgetting?
I would just mention, and I'm a mom too, so I get it. I feel like a lot of times when we have a student on their phone, we're like, oh, my mom was texting me, and my mom really was texting them. If you have a message that you need to get to your child during the school day, please call our front office. We will either get your child to the office or call you if it's something more confidential, or we can give messages all day long. We are more than happy to call a student, during the passing period, at the beginning of the class, if you have something they need to know, like if someone's going to pick them up, or if they can't stay after school, whatever that may be. So please, unless it's after school, please don't use your child's cell phone to get a hold of them.
And kids are permitted to use it after school, up in the front vestibule or outside the building. And if there are emergencies where something pops up that they forgot to tell you about during the day, our two amazing secretaries, they'll gladly, I've never heard them, even question letting a student call home real quick to reach out, ask a question, or relay information, whatever is needed. So there are opportunities during the day for your kid to reach you too.
All right, extracurriculars. Again, a big, awesome part of middle school is being part of extracurriculars, whether that is sports, being part of clubs. There are so many things that sixth graders can do. In sixth grade, if you are on the sport track, you can join cross country immediately. Cross country is open to all sixth graders, and they start doing some summer running in early August, usually a week or two before the first day of school. Again, keep your eye on your email, because they will be sending out emails to let you know what times they'll have summer running. It's usually in the morning. Again, those first weeks of August, they start out with that. Sixth grade students can also join wrestling, and they can also join track and field. So those are some sports that you are able to join as early as a sixth grader, as in sixth grade. 7th and 8th graders are able to try out for basketball and volleyball. We also have what's called Intramural Sports. So after school, there'll be certain days of the week where your PE teachers will post a list and say, sixth graders on Tuesdays, we're playing soccer outside. Or if it's in the spring, maybe it'll be sixth graders on Fridays, we're doing softball. So something, again, where you can just come and show up for those things. You don't have to do it every week. If it's something you want to do that week, you want to try it out, you're more than welcome to join. Lots of clubs: French club, Spanish club, coding, STEAM club. Mrs. Steigerwald, she's our family consumer science teacher. She has a life skills club where you might be learning how to make some crafts or make food, make snacks. There's so many clubs. There's a gaming club. Mr. Kuzmanov, our teacher, has a gaming club. He also has a chess club. And I think one of the coolest things, you don't have to pay for that here. I know there's schools you have to pay for clubs and pay for sports. You don't have to pay for that here at River Trail. So again, if your kid wants to try it out, encourage them to try it out. And if they don't want to do anything until December, that's fine. Try those things out in December. Again, some things will be signed up, like for life skills or STEAM. You might have a limited number of kids who can be at a certain meeting just because of supplies. But most things you just come and join. And then there is that 4 to 10 activity bus to take home if you are staying after school for an activity. Stay informed. I know your mailbox or your email boxes are very full all the time, and I will let you know every Friday. I do send a weekly newsletter just with information, upcoming dates, any information that you need to know going forward. When there are deadlines for example, 6th grade physicals or 6th grade dental exams. You want to make sure that you know where to find everything. So you guys will get, again, newsletters. Our 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade that are encore teams, they send a bi-weekly newsletter, so you'll get some more specific information about what's going on in those classes. We use Bright Arrow. That's a system, I think we're still using Bright Arrow next year, but it's a system we use, again, just to send emails, just to mass send out emails to parents. We also are able to text information to you as well, so you'll find that more user-friendly. But please make sure when you are registering that we have the correct phone numbers, correct email addresses, so you're not missing any information.
Text message.
Yes, text messages are good. I like them.
So this August, you'll be able to come, and I believe it's the 8th, And then 2 times that these will be sent home, and they're in the information too, so you don't have to remember this or take notes. But Monday, August 8th from 9 to noon, or from 5:30 to 7:30 at night, is like walk the building and schedule pickup. So you'll get a hard copy of your student's schedule. You'll be able to go try out their locker combination, see where it's at, see where all their classrooms are located, and just get a feel for the building. We highly recommend you take advantage of that. It makes those first couple days a little less stressful. They're a lot more familiar of where they need to go and how they have to get there, and that way they can just focus on being excited to be back in school, seeing their friends and things like that again. Mrs. Kromeski did mention some small tours we have done. We did previously last year at the end of July.
In July, early August.
Yeah, where if you need to come in early for whatever reason, please reach out. We can set up a time. We're here to kind of go through the building if that date doesn't work for you, or you like a little dry run before then even. During that time, you can also bring school supplies, load up the lockers, get everything set. That way on that first day, again, they're not traveling with as much where it looks like they're moving into their college dorm. Teachers will not present this year at a 6th grade orientation. There is no formal presentation. They'll be able to meet teachers on our open house August 25th, so a couple weeks after school starts, and then the first day of school is on the 17th, but keep in mind that's a 1 p.m. dismissal. So it's not a full day of school, it's what we call an early release day.
And again, the orientation day, it's just to walk around, to drop your classes are, drop your things off. In the past, we've had a lot of people come in the morning and then come again in the afternoon, again, with one parent, the other parent, with a sibling, whatever it might be, just to make sure that they feel comfortable with that locker. The next day, I believe, that would be the 9th of August, and that's where our 7th-day careers come. The building will open at the same time, so if you want to come back on Tuesday, that's okay. If you come back again, you just want to double check that that locker is still working for you. And really, truly, if you email myself with your info and say, hey, can we come in on this day at this time after that, unless there's some PP going on, unless there's a meeting going on, we'd be more than happy to come on. If we're open, just let us know how we come. Okay, I mentioned previously, so medical requirements for 6th grade. 6th grade do need to have an updated physical examination submitted no later than October 15th. All their immunizations should be up to date. They are also required to have a routine dental exam no later than May 15th of next school year. So if you haven't already, you guys can turn that in the fall, so you don't have to worry about that. I mentioned Power School a few times, and I think I probably mentioned too, if you have a question about one of your child's grades, ask them first. See what's going on. And obviously, you are more than welcome to email our teachers. Just please know our teachers have probably an average of 150 kids going into their classroom every day. So your child might be the best one to answer it right away. If there's still questions, yeah, absolutely reach out to teachers. There are a lot of teachers who offer things like before after school help, but that is up to your child to initiate that. If they want to come in early to review for a quiz or a test, or they just aren't getting something, please encourage your child to reach out to that teacher. Some teachers, they can't be here every day before or after school, but a lot of times there's a day or two per week that they are able to. So please make sure you have your child reach out to their teacher. School supply list, we do copies at both entrances if you want to grab one for 6th grade. The list can be found on our school website. You can also order the already made package of school supplies, which is a PTC fundraiser. Either way, it works for us. And that was a lot of information. So again, thank you so much. I want to answer questions, but again, that packet you have, we didn't read everything on there, so when you have time, just skim it. If you have any questions, email myself, call me, call Mr. Kendall. Let us know if you have any other questions between now and next August. But are there any questions that we could answer right now that might be something to the whole group? Yes.
Can you request somebody for lunch?
Can you request somebody for lunch? For the first start of the year, we are signing. If you have a genuine concern, like my child needs to be separated from somebody, that's more something that we would want to know. If you have a concern that way, but we are trying to mix up the kids so they can get to know kids from all over as much as possible. Yes.
How many PE classes do they have?
How many PE classes? So it's every other day. So it could be 2 or 3 times, depending on the week. So when we look at our schedule, it's every day, it will rotate. So not every Monday is an A day, because we miss a lot of Mondays because of holidays and things like that. So it's just the Power School, as they schedule it, it'll just rotate each day.
But it's more than once a week. or-
More than once a week, yeah, 2 to 3 times a week. And there's 75-minute periods.
They're much
Yeah.
longer.
Yeah.
Which days are eight, which ones are eight, how do you know?
So we'll set up a calendar so you guys can see it as well. I honestly, right now, I can tell you what day October 3rd is because it's going to depend on where the holidays are, things like that. But if today is A day, tomorrow's a B day. If Friday's a B day, Monday will be an A day. Yeah. So we make sure that all the classes are even. You have A, B, A, B. Yes.
How many days kids can take off if they are doing work?
How many days can if they take off if they're going to another country? I mean, that's a family decision. After, I believe, is it 12 days, they are unenrolled. So then they would not have any access to Schoology or Power School. And upon their return, they would have to be re-enrolled.
But 12 days they can.
They're unexcused absences.
Yes.
But that's when they're on. We've had students who miss more than that. Some trips are bigger or life-changing, things like that. But it is considered unexcused. Yes.
If my child takes a bus, but then there's a pickup change, we have to notify school.
If your child takes a bus and you have a change, like if you're going to pick them up instead, no, you do not have to let us know.
So just let the kids know that.
Yeah, just let your student know. If you're going to pick them up that day, let them know. If halfway through the day that changes, you're like, oh shoot, I need to pick them up because of a dentist appointment, just call the office and we'll call them down, let them know mom's picking you up, whether it's in the front, if it's over the church, if it's on Greenwood, we'll let them know.
So there are like traffic that doors, right?
Okay.
The drop off.
Yeah, drop off is always in the front of the building if you're driving your child, if they're riding their bike, or if they're walking. The back drop off is only for the buses that drop off in the back.
And pick up.
And pick up the same thing. If you got dropped off on the back of the bus picks you up in the back. If you got dropped off in the front via bus or via parent, you go up through the front. Yes.
Are backpacks allowed throughout the building?
That's a great question. Backpacks need to be in the lockers. So the students only carry with them to class what they need for those classes. A great question. Yes.
Are they getting a new Chromebook?
You know, I'm not sure if they're getting a new Chromebook. I think, did fifth graders get one this year? How long have you, I'm asking you like you guys know, how long have they had this Chromebook?
They got a new one.
If this is, okay, then they would probably keep that one for next year. Yeah, I believe they're keeping the same Chromebooks from last year into sixth grade. Yes.
So for after school, if we're not doing like a bus or if we're not doing pickup, they have to, and if they have to stay at school, it would be like a after-school activity or sport or library. Is there any other option? Like for elementary school, they can do like Kid Squad.
Right? We don't have a kid squad that's housed here in the building. I can think of in the past, I don't know, as long as I've been at Advent, the past like 8 or 9 years, we've had 1 or 2 students who their parents said they needed them to do Kid Squad for whatever reason. They had to work it out with Kid Squad and with our transportation director, Jane Holtz, to figure out which bus to get on to take them there. But right now, I'm not sure. I think this year Kid Squad's over at the Weiss Center, so I'm not sure exactly how that works. That's something that the parents would have to work out with transportation. Good question. It's weird because they're in 6th grade. And they're not totally grown yet, but they're in 6th grade. Other questions? These are great questions. Yes,
So
ma'am.
if the teacher has a day that they come in early, and my kid is taking the bus,
Oh, that's a great question. She was asking if there's a teacher who's coming in early one day and their child takes the bus. In the past, we have had an early bus, but it's been limited. I know that there's been a bus that's gone through, I think, Boxwood, Judith Ann. It might have been a second route. We didn't do that this year just because of so many bus restrictions. But that's something we'll look into. It's not going to be every route though. So if your child needs to get to school early or wants to get to school early and there's not a bus, then it would be the parent's responsibility to get them there early. Or they can walk, ride a bike, absolutely. All right. If you have any other questions, if you want to talk to Mr. McLaurin individually, please come up and talk to us. Otherwise, again, a lot of information. Take your time, look this over, email me, email Mr. Henkel, call us if anything comes up. Thank you so much. I'm excited to see your students. We're going to be busy the 5th grade students next week, Tuesday. We'll see you at your schools. So we'll do the kid version of that. Thank you, everybody.